The holidays have a way of magnifying everything. The good, the difficult, the joyful, and the painful all arrive at the same time, often uninvited and always at full volume. One minute you're imagining connection, celebration, and pockets of peace, and the next you're juggling expectations, navigating family dynamics, managing schedules, or quietly bracing yourself for a moment that you know is going to sting. For many people, the hardest part of the holiday period is not planning the Christmas lunch, or braving the shopping centres, or even the logistics. It's the emotional load. Let's tell the truth. For many people, the holidays are one of the most emotionally demanding and challenging times of the year. It's the pressure to feel a certain way, the responsibility to make things special. It's the quiet truth that your heart might be carrying something heavier than what you want to show on the outside. The reality is that for a lot of us, the season comes with challenges that no glossy Christmas movie ever depicts. Negotiating schedules, co-parenting across households, managing tension with an ex-partner. You're listening to The Happiness Hack with Tim Coulson, and I'm about to get real. I'm about to be authentic and vulnerable. Because for me, the holidays are a bittersweet time of year. They're a time of giving, of peace, and new beginnings. But they're also a time of pain, of emotional upheaval, and a reminder of things I want but can't have. You see, every Christmas I'm reminded about my son, the one that I haven't seen in years. He's one of my biggest sources of both pain and motivation. You see, Christmas Day was the first of many times when my ex decided not to bring him to changeover. So every Christmas, try as I might, I am painfully reminded of the day that Christmas presents were purchased, placed under a tree. I drove excitedly to the pickup point, only to be left stranded, ignored, and abandoned. I was confused and hurting. I had to head home alone, put those presents in a box, pack the box away in a cupboard, and then smile and try not to allow my pain to impact my friends and family. All of this while my heart felt like it was breaking. And for too many of us, this is the reality that we now face. Spending Christmas without our children, holding grief in one hand and hope in the other. If that's you, I want to say this clearly. You are not failing. You're navigating something incredibly emotional in a season that amplifies everything. Your experience is real, and it warrants compassion, not comparison, because you deserve that, and because your well-being matters just as much as everyone else's. You're listening to The Happiness Hack with Tim Coulson, the place where we use positive psychology, strength-based healing, to come up with ways that we can live with a little bit more positivity, a little bit more gratitude, and a whole bunch more happiness. So this Christmas, if you feel stressed or overwhelmed, then this is the episode for you. And if you face sharing custody or are facing a holiday period without your children for the first time, then you definitely need to listen today. Because the reality is that the holidays can feel heavier than other times of the year. And there's a reason that these holidays feel so intense. It's not weakness. It's not being dramatic or a lack of resilience. It's the collision of three things: disrupted routines, increased expectations, and old emotional triggers. When you combine these three things, emotions naturally intensify. You are not imagining it. You are being human in a high-pressure season. You're navigating social events, family dynamics, financial pressures, limited downtime, and changed sleep patterns, all while having the quiet pressure to make things special. The holidays stack stresses emotionally, socially, and financially so quickly that many people get pushed straight into overload without even noticing it's happening. Remember, our brains are wired for safety and survival. So when these old patterns, unresolved tensions, or negative self-talk walks into the room, your brain responds as if the threat is happening right now, even when we're sitting at a perfectly decorated table. If you're co-parenting or sharing custody, your emotional load is doubled. This time of year can be painfully complex. Maybe the day feels chopped in half. Maybe communication with an ex-partner feels tense, or the schedule got changed at the last minute. Maybe you're preparing for that ache of waking up without your children on Christmas morning. Because here is the truth that many people never say out loud. We can love our children deeply, but also find this season incredibly hard. You can be grateful for what you do have and still feel the gap of what you wished looked different. Those feelings can coexist. They are both valid. One helpful shift is recognizing that the emotional pain does not mean we are doing anything wrong. It's simply a reflection of how much we care. And while you can't control the calendar or another person's behavior, you can influence how you support yourself through it. Let me say this clearly. Self-compassion is not a luxury during the holidays. It is an essential emotional anchor. People often speak about surviving the holiday period or pushing through, but real strength, it looks different than just staying strong. The mentality of, she'll be right, stiff upper lip, that's not helpful. Real strength is acknowledging our own needs before they become overwhelming. Real strength looks like being honest with yourself instead of performing the version of Christmas that you think others expect. It looks like caring for yourself with the same compassion you offer everyone else. Self-compassion lowers the emotional intensity. It steadies your energy and reduces reactivity. It's going to help you navigate family dynamics with more clarity and less defensiveness. Self-compassion aids our ability to get through a tough moment without making it worse. It doesn't have to be grand or complicated. It can be simple and efficient, like taking a pause before we react, the breath before we speak. It's the decision to stay grounded instead of spiraling. It's not fixing the moment, not forcing positivity, and absolutely not pretending you're fine. It's staying in your own body long enough to choose a response instead of reacting on autopilot. Self-compassion gives us options. It doesn't make the situation perfect, but it makes us more grounded inside the situation that we have. Self-compassion is one of the most powerful tools for emotional resilience, yet it's often one of the most misunderstood. It's definitely not self-pity or self-indulgence, and it is absolutely not letting yourself off the hook. Self-compassion is simply the practice of treating ourselves with the same fairness, warmth, and patience that we instinctively offer to the people that we care about. At its core, self-compassion has three parts: self-kindness, common humanity, and mindful awareness. First off, we want to respond to our own pain with support rather than harshness. We need to recognize that our struggle is a universal part of being human and not a personal failure. And then we want to notice our emotional state without exaggerating it or shutting it down. Now, this might feel simple and sound simplistic, but for anyone who has lived with self-criticism or perfectionism, self-compassion can feel like learning a completely new language. Let's break down some of the things that may come up for us during this holiday. For instance, we may just accidentally snap at our child all morning. Maybe it's been a long week. Everyone is tired and you react more sharply than you're meant to. The inner critic says, I'm a terrible parent. I should be better than this. Self-compassion says, wow, this is a tough moment and I reacted from stress, not a lack of love. Parents all over the world are going to have moments like this. We can acknowledge it, steady ourselves, and repair the bond without spiraling into shame. Self-compassion keeps the moment human and not catastrophizing it. Let's be real, December and January come with some impossible expectations, even at work. Year-end deadlines, financial pressures, New Year performance plans, and the mental load of planning for next year while we're still closing out this one. Our inner critic is going to say, I should be coping better. Everyone else is fine. Why am I the one that's falling behind? Giving ourselves a little bit of self-compassion? Well, this is a demanding time of year, so of course I feel stressed. Many other people are overwhelmed right now. I can prioritise. Take this one step at a time. Self-compassion helps us respond with clarity rather than freak out. It's really important that we address the inner critic with this level of self-compassion, especially through this stressful period of the Christmas holidays. Now, self-compassion isn't going to erase those pressures, but it will prevent us from becoming self-punishing tools. So what we want to do is really incorporate ways and techniques that can help us during this, the most stressful time of year. And that's what I've got for you. Some simple, real, doable techniques that are backed by strong psychological foundations. So the first thing I want you to do is create small emotional anchors throughout the day. An emotional anchor is something that brings you back into yourself. It's something that says, I'm here, I'm okay, and I can do this. You want to try and use these anchors as often as you can. A moment of quiet, a short walk, a cup of tea, a few breaths before you get in the car. These anchors help your emotions settle between moments that otherwise might feel overwhelming. For those of you that are navigating through a change of custody or a swap over, I want you to use calm communication scripts while holding healthy boundaries, especially if communication is strained. Keep the communication simple and neutral. These boundaries, they are not walls. They're doorways to sanity. Effective boundaries can fit into one sentence. I want you to try this two-step format. Name your boundary and then offer an alternative. For example, I can't stay all night, but I'll come for dessert. Or, I'm not drinking tonight, but I'd love a soda water. It's short, it's factual, and it's calm. This keeps the boundary firm while keeping the relationship intact, and most importantly, keeps you in control. This protects your peace and stops you from being pulled into emotional traps. Finally, give yourself permission to be honest with your capacity. You are allowed to leave early. You are allowed to say no. You're allowed to choose rest over obligation, not to escape, but to reset. We don't have to be perfect. It's okay to live in the reality, especially if it hurts a little or is slightly messy. Because when we release expectations and meet the moment as it is, pressure eases and stress drops. A few minutes alone can interrupt emotional overload and give us enough space to choose our next response instead of reacting for the old patterns. If this season brings with it some grief, some loss, or your loneliness, you are not alone. There's a lot of people holding on to memories of someone that they love. Some of us are facing Christmas without our kids, or after a breakup, or there's been a major life shift. Some are watching families gather when their own feels fractured or far away. If this is you, your pain is allowed. You do not have to pretend. You do not have to match everyone else's mood. And nothing about your experience makes you less worthy of being loved or of belonging. So one of the kindest things I want you to do for yourself is choose one meaningful moment throughout your day. Not a perfect moment, a real one. A moment that reminds you why you are still here, why you're still capable, and you're still connected to something that matters. This mind shift is going to help change the season. Surviving the holidays? Well, it's not the language we want to use. There's no way that we can avoid the stress. What we want to try and do instead is recognize the stresses early, respond gently, and remember that we can choose how we meet each moment. So here's another 3 techniques that you can use to help you create those anchors throughout your day. First off, the deliberate start. When you wake up, I want you to sit for 60 seconds, breathe, and then choose one simple, clear intention for the day. Write it down, speak it out loud. But whatever it is, make it short, make it clear, and most importantly, make it achievable. There's no guarantee that you can not be triggered today. But what you could do as your intention is say, I choose calmness today. Yeah? The next thing that I want you to try is when you do feel triggered, use a moment of exit. Excuse yourself for 2 minutes whenever you feel that tension climbing. Breathe. Swing your arms. Heck, scream into a pillow if you need to. Do whatever you need to do to reset. Recalibrate. Calm your nervous system down and then return to that situation when you're actually ready. Now, the final anchor point is just before we go to bed. I want you to reflect back on that one meaningful moment. It can be something big, it can be something small, but choose something that you are grateful for today. A moment of joy, the kindness of a stranger, or maybe it was just even making it through dinner. Whatever we choose, we want to be genuinely grateful for it. It doesn't have to be huge, but it does have to be genuine. This shifts your brain from stress storage and into emotional release and relaxation. These anchors are going to act like emotional shock absorbers. They soften the impact of a demanding season, and together they create space for joy, not the loud cinematic kind, but the quiet, real moments where we can laugh with someone we trust, a warm drink after a long day, a conversation that lands. However you are arriving into this season, your experience is absolutely valid. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to create healthy boundaries. And you are allowed to feel joy, sadness, relief, disappointment, hope, gratitude, and hopefully a mixture of them all. Because being human is not a neat process. But the more we practice these deliberate moments of gratitude, these deliberate moments of pause and bringing happiness into our day, the more that we can navigate through this period together. Practice those deliberate starts to your day. Practice taking a moment. Heck, even take 2 or 3. Just exit and reset when you need to. And then focus on what went well during your evenings. This holiday does not need to be perfect. It just needs to be honest. And you deserve to feel steady, supported, and grounded within it. These are the techniques that I use to anchor my day, maintain healthy boundaries, and honour my own capacity. Together, we can get through this. You are not alone. And if this resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe, or better yet, share it with someone else who could hear this message. And if you're ready to make some real meaningful change, to grow and increase your capacity, why not jump online and book a session with me? tim-coulson.com, tim-coulson.com. You've been listening to The Happiness Hack with Tim Coulson, and this Christmas, I want you to honour your own capacity. Because as always, remember, the day is what you make it.